All right, we're going to talk about my OpenClaw setup. I had this set up for about a month now, and I'm going to give you the information about the setup, about how I feel about it after using it for a month, how complicated it is, what the future is that I think of it, how hard it was to set up, all these different things. I'm just going to do a dump. I'm not going to edit this video. I'm just going to record it as it is, and we're going to see how it goes. So I hope this is interesting. This is my OpenClaw setup sitting over here on the back side of my office. I got my normal stuff on the other side behind me. But yeah, I got this special setup over here. I got this little $10 monitor, this square monitor, this old school monitor from I'm gonna say GitHub from Goodwill. I got this old monitor from Goodwill. And then this is an old 2016 MacBook Pro. It's actually not even supposed to be able to run OpenClaw because OpenClaw requires, I think, a MacBook that can run Sonoma, and the 2016 MacBook Pro actually can't run Sonoma. So one of the first things I had to do was hack this Mac in order to run Mac OS Sonoma. You can do that with this thing called, I think, OpenCore or Open something. I can't remember. It's something called Open something where you can just search hack Mac to run later version of Mac OS, and then you can do that. If you have an old device that you want to be able to run OpenClaw on, you can hack an old Mac to run OpenClaw, run a new version of Mac OS, and then run OpenClaw on it with that new version. So that's one trick that I had to do to be able to use this old MacBook that I had lying around. I don't want to buy a new Mac Mini. I just wanted to use something I already had. And so what many people are doing are using a Mac Mini to run OpenClaw. But let me take a couple steps back and explain what OpenClaw is. OpenClaw is something that was developed open source. It's an AI tooling. I call it an AI framework. So it's not its own AI model. It's not its own AI service. It is a framework that you use with a AI that you've already purchased. So you've already got a subscription from OpenAI, ChatGPT. You already got a subscription from Claude, maybe Gemini. One of these AI services, AI models you've already bought, and you're bringing it to OpenClaw as a framework around that model in order to do work on this computer. And so what this computer does with OpenClaw runs a server on this computer. So this computer stays on all the time. I have it where it doesn't sleep. I just have this, what do you call it? Screensaver. I haven't used a screensaver in years, but I have the screensaver on, and I have the MacBook in clamshell mode, which makes it be able to run all the time. But you can think of this as a home server, like a server that you would see in a data center. It's the same thing. I just have it running on this MacBook at my house, and OpenClaw is the server software that's running on it, and it uses my ChatGPT subscription in order to run things on this computer. And this OpenClaw is a framework built around a model that you bring in order to do things on the computer, like look at the emails on the computer, open up apps on the computer like the Notes app and do things with the notes, use files on the computer, access the iMessages on the computer to send you messages or to receive messages, access other things with the computer. Calendar, any app you have on there, code, you could put Claude code on the computer and have the AI use Claude code on the computer directly. So it's a lot of cool, anything you think a personal assistant could do on a computer, OpenClaw has basically software built around this purpose of being an assistant. So it has integrations built in. It has plugins you can add. I don't add any plugins because there's a lot of security holes with that. I just use whatever OpenClaw has built into it, but it has a lot built into it out of the box that you can use to do some cool things like image generation, video editing, iMessage, Telegram, WhatsApp. You can use it, communicate with it. That's one of the cool things about OpenClaw is that you can use iMessage to communicate with it. So unlike things like ChatGPT and Claude, where they have their own interface, You can use iMessage, you can use WhatsApp, you can use Telegram. I think you can maybe use Messenger. You can use these different platforms to communicate it with it like you would communicate with a real personal assistant. So that's just explains what OpenClaw is, the importance of it. One of the big differences between OpenClaw and the main chat AI chats that we use is that OpenClaw is running and has its own computer that's running all the time. So it can do tasks right on the computer. ChatGPT and Claude and things like that and Gemini, they are hosted on servers and you're sending commands to a server and it's on demand fulfilling some task for you. And it typically doesn't have its own computer to do those things on. So it's fulfilling some task to you either via APIs, connection to whatever, services you're trying to use or whatever the case. And it's only working when you trigger it, when you send a command to it, you send a message to it. This thing, because it's a server that's always on, you can have it running tasks during the day via something it calls a heartbeat. So you can have it wake up every hour and have a set of instructions for it to follow every single hour without you having to send it a message at all. So you can give it stuff to do all day, and theoretically or hypothetically, you could have it running all day. You could have it set for 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, I want you to wake up and do this task. You can also set up scheduled jobs that, okay, I want this thing to do this at 9 a.m. I want you to do this at 10 a.m. You think of it as a personal assistant. You can type messages to it on demand to have it do things, but you can also just have things that you just have it doing all day on its own without you intervening. And that is the power of having a server that's always on and access to its own computer. And so now, Claude actually released something recently where it can control your computer, but it has limitations because your computer isn't always on. So once your computer goes to sleep, that's it. But this is a live server running all the time. There are other options like Perplexity computer that spins up a virtual Mac Mini that can its own computer and it has memory and persistence, but it's still a little more limited than this is at the current state. I know they're creating something called Perplexity Personal Computer that you're going to be able to use your own physical device. And once that's released, I think it's sometime in April 2006 or 2026. Then that'll probably be more comparable to this. But for right now, that's why this is so popular, because it's very powerful compared to regular AI. Some people see this as the reason why the real way that AI really should be. Like this is how they really see it. So anyway, I know I explained a lot, but I want to explain what this thing actually is. And now I want to open it up. I shake this and show what it actually is on the computer. So let me take this thing off the screen. But yeah, so this is the interface. Once you get it set up, you actually get a nice little interface from OpenClaw control panel. And if you see on the side here, you have the chat. And so in this chat here, this is not what I'm using. I can't show my phone right now because I'm recording with it. But on my phone, I actually have iMessage. And I think I can show that here. I actually have iMessage here. This is where I sent messages as myself to this computer, iMessage, that's on the computer. And OpenClaw is reading the messages from iMessage that I set it up with. Now you can set this up with Telegram, WhatsApp, whatever you want. But I use iMessage because I thought it was cool to be able to use iMessage to, for a chat. That's kind of cool for AI chat. So, and then this is the interface for OpenClaw, and this is where it's actually read the message from iMessage. This is this actual internal interface, and so like that's pretty cool. And so anyway, we got this interface together, and I'm gonna change from this screen because it got my phone number on there. I'm gonna have to blank that out. But anyway, yeah. So we got and I probably need to blank this out too. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this is the thing. You can set up different channels. I set up iMessage, cron jobs. These are the jobs that I have it doing when it wakes up. So right now I have it doing like marketing for my mobile app. 9 o'clock, I have it look for ideas, the ways to market my app. And then either I do the execution or I have it do the execution. I also have it doing, I have it doing social media, some social media stuff to market my mobile apps. I create mobile apps. And yeah, so then, there's like 8 different agents. You can set this up with multiple agents. I only have one agent configuration. Like, this is just a nice interface for you to be able to use it. But to get to this point is you have to go and set up OpenClaw. And it is not necessarily easy. So I'm going to type in OpenClaw and just get to the website here. And so you do need to be comfortable with the command line. Like, they want you to run these command lines. And that's when you open up Terminal on Mac and you type commands in here. Not everybody's familiar with this, but it's not hard. But if you're not familiar with it, it can be a little bit intimidating. But you got to run commands. And then even when you're setting this up with the documentation, and this should load in a second, like, you need to be able to set up Node, which is a software. You need to be able to get the API key. You need to understand what API keys are. And you can use AI to help you set this up. It makes it a little easier. But if you're not technically inclined, it can be a little bit difficult because you do need to run these commands. And even after you run these commands, there's just a lot of finagling you need to do with gateway, ports, and how you host this on your home network, and how you access it. Like, there's just a lot of things that you kind of got to sort through. Updating it, iMessage itself was kind of, let me see, channels, and then I chose, where is iMessage? iMessage here. So I chose iMessage, which was kind of tough to set up. I'm not even gonna lie. They say use Blue Bubbles. I tried to use Blue Bubbles, but it was hard. So I used something, I think it's not even on here no more. It used to have a little, let me see. I don't think this is, yeah, here it is. Yeah, they're saying use Blue Bubbles, but I use this thing called, I think, IMSG. And I had to install that with the command line. And I had to make sure it was set up here so it can read the database from iMessage to get the messages. And then I had to make my phone number be whitelisted as only messages that come from my phone number are what it should respond to. Like, so if somebody else gets this access, then, it shouldn't respond to it. And also, so how I set this computer up, that's another thing. This computer, I wiped it, and I set this computer is a sandbox environment just for OpenClaw. So I just only set up applications down here that I want OpenClaw to have access to. I gave it its own Apple account. And so it has its own notes, own reminders, own Apple Notes, own Apple Calendar. And what I did is, for my personal account, I share only specific notes, only specific folders in my drive, only specific things that I want to share with. I treat it like a personal assistant. So what I did is I share reminders with it. I share like all my little reminders with it. And so what that does is that I can give it I can put task here, and I can tell it, go look at my to-dos that I have for today and help me complete them. Or I tell it specifically, hey, like here I have some development stuff, like send push notifications from hand clap vendors. That's one of my apps. So I can tell it to, hey, go, work on this app for me. It'll probably ask me some questions like, where is that code at, and all this kind of stuff, until I set all that up. But I also can set that up on the machine. I can set up access to, GitHub, and I can give it my credentials, or I can give it its own credentials. And what I have it doing is just committing for me, because I want to make it seem like it's me committing the code. But so I can have it working on these tasks. But like, what it can do is look at this and tell me what I need to do during the day. Like, hey, based on your task list here, this is the order you should do these things, and I can help with this thing, and I can do this thing for you, and you want me to do this. So I just have a discussion with it. But I have it, at 9 o'clock, wake up every day and look at my task list and kind of give me an idea of what it can do for me, and what what I can do, to help me do my task list faster. And so then I can have it add tasks. I can tell it to add tasks. I also have it access to my calendar, which I'm not going to show too much of it, but I give it access to my calendar, and it can add events where, I need to add events. I don't have to do that myself. It can kind of give me a rundown of what events I have and kind of like give me a plan for things, which is pretty cool. And so, this is kind of the task list where I can give it, shared tasks to work on, which I think is great. And then there's also, where is the drive? I think drive should be on here somewhere. Oh, it's not a drive. It's not a drive app. It's just the Finder. So in Finder, you have iCloud Drive, and I made a folder called AI Assistant, which is shared with my own personal account. And basically, whenever we're working on stuff, we share stuff in here. So like video editing. So I might dump a file in here in inbox, and then I'll tell it, hey, I dumped some files in the inbox. I want you to work on it, edit those videos, and then put them in the outbox. And then on my phone, on my other computer, or wherever, I just go in the outbox when it's done, and it'll have it done for me in the morning, or they have it done for me a couple hours, or whatever the case is, however long it takes to edit the video. So I'm not giving it access to my real computer. It's got its own computer over here with its own stuff. But what I do is I give it limited access to some of my, shared notes and shared this and shared that. And so I also have it giving me briefs. So like I had it doing some market research for me, and we have a shared notes, and I just have it dump the notes in here for me to read every day. So every day I get more information about like what I can do for my market in my app. Cause I still like to type a lot of the messages myself, to make it, so I'm thinking about it too. But what it does is help me find marketing opportunities, and helps me just kind of think through how to market my apps to different users. And yeah, so that's kind of a rundown what it is. I mean, how do I feel about this? I'm not doing enough with it yet. It's so powerful. And the other thing is the cost. So there's two ways you can set this up. You can use an API key from your AI provider, which is more expensive because you're going to be charged per token on the API key, or you can use your subscription sign in from your API provider. And so what I did is with ChatGPT, I used the sign in subscription, and that's cheaper because then you just run into usage limits. So if you use it too much, it'll just kind of give an error like, hey, you hit the usage limit, but it won't keep charging you like if you use the API credit. So I always suggest to people start out with the subscription based login and then move to the token if you want to just have more usage. But that usage can add up pretty quick with this thing. So that's kind of an important thing I want to say there. But recently Claude, I think they shut down the subscription based access to Claude. That's probably not an option anymore, which Claude is trying to close the door on OpenClaw, which kind of sucks. This was very recent, but ChatGPT is still an option. Gemini is still an option. And then you can run your own model on the machine if you want to even as well. So a local model that wouldn't cost you nothing. So there are ways to keep the cost down. But you just got to be careful how much you're running. Cause like I said, it's a heartbeat mechanism. If you put so many tasks on that heartbeat every 5 minutes, every hour, that's going to run up pretty fast. And so how do I feel about it? I mean, sometimes the performance can be a little shaky. Sometimes it has trouble remembering things. Sometimes you got to go in here and finagle stuff and finagle folders and set up things for it to use because it can't set it up itself. But overall, it is actually able to do a lot of stuff by itself, like even set up its own stuff after a while. Like I might tell it to create shared folders or create access or download this app, set up my GitHub so you can start doing development for me, and or set up this project and run it and test it for me. So I'll be able to let it do stuff pretty much autonomously, which is pretty cool. I'm able to text it from the bed, from the bathroom, anywhere, to just get it to start running, and it just starts running up here in the office. And so it's pretty cool. It's not perfect. There are security issues. So I think if you're a person that Want something more streamlined, I will say wait for Perplexity Personal Computer. Maybe try Claude Cowork. Maybe try Claude Dispatch. If you want something more streamlined and secure and not as hard to set up and manage. But if you want extreme control, more power in your workflow, and like something that can run for you often, you can control the cost a lot better, then this is pretty good. You won't get locked into a model. You can change the model out. So this is more for power users of AI, I think. But it's that's how the world works. You got options that are more streamlined that you pay more for. You got options that are more open sourced and free that you got to work with more, but you pay less and you have more control and flexibility in the solution. So I hope this was helpful. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to share about this before I let it go. Yeah, I mean, is there anything in here else that I want to show? Yeah, I mean, I think after that first weekend I set it up, I really just didn't jump in this thing that much. I just type messages to it and have it fix itself. Like if there's something with the configuration I wanted to change, I message it and make it fix the configuration. The only thing I come on here to do is accept. Sometimes there are permission prompts you have to accept. But once you get all those permission prompts out the way, then it pretty much runs on its own. And so the things I want to do with it soon, I need to start doing more development with it. I want to start, having it work on development tasks, at least 2 or 3 a day. I wanted to start doing marketing on its own when I trust it a little bit more. I wanted to start looking at my daily tasks and start helping me more with that stuff, actually actively helping me create more tasks. I wanted to just start making me way more productive while I sleep, like working through the night. So there's a lot more I want to do with it, but overall it has been worth it to take that weekend, and it took maybe 3 or 4 days for me to set this up. It definitely been worth it to even just learn about AI and just get more used to integrating it and making me more productive and help me reach my goals. So I definitely suggest it. If you are technical, I suggest you have something. I wouldn't suggest maybe buying a bunch of stuff for this, but if you have a spare MacBook or Mac Mini or even Windows machine or something you can run all the time, you're not afraid to run it all the time, I do suggest that it's a good option just to get familiar with AI and also at the same time provide some benefit to your life. So hope this was helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Let me know what you think about this video. If you want to make any subsequent videos that would help you learn more about this or whatever, just let me know. And thanks for watching.